Okay guys, here's a short video. I was out here messing around because the weather's way better today. And it's supposed to be getting, I believe, progressively warmer throughout the week all the way through Saturday. I hope. But I got out here and started pulling a bunch of stuff off the blazer. Getting ready to pull these heads off either tonight or tomorrow morning. See if I run out of daylight before I get there. But I was playing around, pulling the manifolds off, kind of test fitting the manifolds on the spare motor in the garage, and reached up to reposition my intake. Like I pulled that truck intake off and had it just sitting in here on the extra engine. And look, I want you guys to focus on this. See the bottom of that throttle blade? Watch this. Let me get this to work with one hand. See what that is? That's motor oil. You know how LS engines are famous for pulling oil from the PVC system and from the valve covers and putting it up in the intake? Okay, do you also remember I have a filter / separator on the valve cover. It's bone dry. But I'm still just kind of devastated at how much oil is in that intake. Here's the problem. I also had a homemade separator. If you see that orange thing with the AN lines on it, basically the PCV hooks up to one side of it, and the vacuum port in the top of the intake hooks up to the other side, so that anything in coming from the PCV valve falls to the bottom of a metal fuel filter canister to be captured. Here's the problem, guys. That canister was plumb full. My separator was working perfectly, but apparently I never checked it. Because I never saw even the slightest hint of oil in that little filter that goes from my valve cover to my throttle body, I just kept putting off and putting off and putting off checking the separator from the PCV valve. And when I set that intake over there on the spare motor, and thought, is that oil coming out of the bottom of that throttle body? And when I cracked that butterfly and used motor oil, just started flying out of this thing. Look at it. I've done this trick at least 3 times now, 3 or 4 times. And if you tilted this intake even more, you could get even more out of it. Sorry about all the shaky business. But basically my separator that I created was working perfectly. But if you don't empty the stupid separator, then all it does is just fill it all the way to the top and then suck it like crazy, probably even worse, into the engine. Live and learn, I guess. That was a oops on me. So basically I played around, got everything kind of cleaned up, started draining the radiator, trying to get it pulled out, get the water pump off, because you got to pull everything out of here to try to change a cam. I don't know if I had relayed that information to you guys yet, but I have decided I don't want to pull this motor all the way out. So I have a friend tomorrow night that's going to bring me an engine hoist, and I'm going to use it and a jack to just lift the engine off of the mounts. I'm replacing the frame mounts and the engine mounts. Hope you guys understand what I'm saying. I'll try to do a video on it whenever they get here. But I'm changing the mount that mounts to the crossmember and the mount that goes to the engine, because I realize the clamshells that I'm using have a 2 3/8 inch center. So like from where it bolts to the adapter to the center of the bolt hole is 2 3/8 inches. Well, I can lower this engine down 5/8 of an inch by going to a engine mount that has a 1 3/4 center from the flat mounting surface to the center of the motor mount bolt is 1 3/4 inches, which is going to lower my engine 5/8 of an inch. Plus, I'm going to take advantage of these adjustable LSX Innovations adapter plates and try to move the engine back towards the firewall 7/16 of an inch as well. So I got that going on. Also, I haven't verified this, but look how close my passenger side exhaust manifold would be to working as a turbo hot side for my drivers. Now, I'm sure I'm going to run into issues with a stupid steering shaft, but I just kind of threw that up on there when I pulled it off the Blazer and was like, man, that thing really hugs in tight to the block. I mean, that right there might be a usable manifold for my hot side on the driver's side. I don't know. I may have to build a custom drive shaft with aftermarket U-joints and all that, but that would be nice. I could do that. That way I'd only have to really build one, because the other side manifold is nowhere near working over here. If you guys have ever seen these, you have to run it straight across the head, as tight up to the head as you can, to get it to clear on these S10s. So I'll just hold off on that idea until I get that far. But I just wanted to kind of share with you guys some of the fun I was having today. Also, I pulled a rear drive shaft out of it's either a 2002 or 2003 Chevy Trailblazer. I thought it was supposed to be a two-wheel drive. Richard was pretty sure it was a two-wheel drive, but after I got under there and started pulling the drive shaft, we realized it was a four-wheel drive. Way too short. The drive shaft's way too short. It's only like 37 inches or something. It's really short. But here's the caveat. This yoke fits my Turbo 400 transmission. It's only 1.5 inches too long on this snout area. So I'm probably going to find a way to neatly, I'd like to have somebody with a lathe cut 1.5 inches off the end of that, because what I found on the Speedway website and a couple of forums was the regular Turbo 400 slip yoke is supposed to be 5.5 inches from the center of your U-joint to the end of the yoke. And I did some measuring on it last night, and that would mean I'm 1.5 inches too long as it sits right now. So, and then I looked up online, they do make a conversion joint, because this yoke uses a 1344 series, and the drive shaft I'm looking at trying to use maybe is an Astro, two-wheel drive Astro van drive shaft, and I think it has, gosh, I want to say it was 1330, or I don't know, it was bigger than 1310, I think. Anyway, I did a bunch of research last night and was trying to make sure that they did make a conversion joint for this particular yoke, and you know what I mean, I didn't want to get stuck trying to use that thing as a yoke, measure for a drive shaft, and not be able to do that. So anyway, that's what I've been doing, playing around, taking advantage of the warmer weather, and hopefully be able to get these heads off so I can start getting some work done. I'm going to get some work done on them, take them over to Jack, and have him, I'm going to try to have him probably cut them 10 thousandths off the deck to true them up and make them flat, and probably knock 2 cc's off the chambers and just run it. So that is my update for the day. I do apologize for this shakiness. I don't have a Hero Self stabilizing phone. I just have an iPhone 6. So this is what I've been doing. I'll give y'all a little bit more update as soon as I get some more work done. Thanks again for watching. Like, subscribe, and share.